Lieutenant Jag Kim rubbed his tired eyes. He had been working for 16 hours straight at his communications station on Horizon Outpost. The small research station floated at the edge of human space, watching the stars for any signs of danger. "Just 2 more hours until my shift ends," Jay said to himself. His screen suddenly lit up with strange patterns. At first, he thought it was just space noise. But then the patterns repeated. Again and again. Too perfect to be random. "Computer, analyze this signal," Jay ordered. The computer beeped. "Signal contains mathematical sequences. Prime numbers. Fibonacci sequence. Pi." Jay sat up straight. These were universal patterns. Any intelligent species would recognize them. This was how you made first contact across language barriers. "Computer, where is this coming from?" A star map appeared on his screen. The signal originated from deep in the uncharted region beyond human space, dangerously close to Vindari territory. The Vindari. Jay felt a chill. Everyone knew about them. They were tall, strong aliens who believed they were better than everyone else. They crushed any species they thought might one day challenge them. Jay pressed more buttons. The signal contained more than math. There were images, terrible images. Cities burning, strange insect-like creatures running from soldiers in black armor. The soldiers were shooting everything that moved, even the small ones, babies. "This is a distress call," Jay whispered. He pressed the emergency button. 5 minutes later, Dr. Hyun Park, the station commander, rushed into the room. "This better be important, Lieutenant," Hyun said. Jay pointed at his screen. "Sir, I picked up a signal. It's from the uncharted zone near Vindari space. Look at these images." Dr. Hyun's face grew pale as he watched. "Those are Vindari soldiers. They're attacking. What are those beings?" "I don't know, sir. Some kind of insect species. The computer can't identify them. They've never been in our databases." "A new species," Dr. Hyun said quietly. "And the Vindari are wiping them out. Sir, we need to send this to Earth Command right away." Dr. Hyun shook his head. "Do you know what you're asking? That area is off limits to us by galactic treaty. If we interfere, the Vindari could use it as an excuse to attack human colonies. But sir, they're killing an entire species. I need to think about this, Lieutenant. This could start a war. Humanity isn't ready to fight the Vindari. We've kept peace by staying quiet and looking weak." Dr. Hyun walked away, his shoulders heavy with the weight of his decision. Jay sat alone at his station, watching more images come through. An entire world dying, begging for help that might never come. He made his decision. After checking that no one was watching, Jay copied the signal data to a secure drive. He opened a private channel, heavily encrypted. The kind that didn't leave records in the station's logs. A few minutes later, a sleepy face appeared on his screen. "Jad, it's the middle of the night here. What's wrong?" asked Commander Ta Kim, Jay's older brother who served in Earth's defense fleet. "Ta, I'm sending you something. It's important. More important than my career or even station protocols." Jay transmitted the signal data. He watched his brother's face change as Ta viewed the images. "Where did you get this?" Tai asked, fully awake now. "It just came in. Dr. Hyun is afraid to send it to Earth Command. He thinks it could start a war." Ta nodded slowly. He might be right, but some things are worth fighting for. He looked directly at Ja. "I'll make sure the right people see this. Delete this conversation from your logs." The screen went black. Ja erased all evidence of the transmission. Whatever happened next, he had done what was right. He couldn't stand by while an entire species was erased from the universe. Little did he know that his simple action would unleash the most fearsome fleet the galaxy had ever seen. Commander Ta Kim stood tall in the large meeting room at Earth Command. The room was filled with the most powerful people in human space. Military leaders sat on one side. Government officials sat on the other. All eyes were on the large screen showing the terrible images Jay had sent. Admiral Sunley, the highest-ranking officer in Earth's fleet, spoke first. These images came to us 12 hours ago. They show the Vindari attacking an unknown species. Do we know who these insect beings are? Asked one of the officials. We believe they are the Navari, said Admiral Lee. They live in a star system near Vindari space. We have heard of them, but never met them. They are known to be peaceful and very good at math and science. And the Vindari are just killing them all. A woman asked. Yes, we think the Navari developed something the Vindari see as a threat. Probably new technology. The room was quiet for a moment. Then someone asked the question everyone was thinking. What can we do? We have a treaty with the Vindari. We can't just break it. Ta stepped forward. Sir, with respect, some things are more important than treaties. An entire species is being wiped out. If we do nothing, who will we be tomorrow? Admiral Lee nodded. Commander Kim is right. It's time to show our true face to the galaxy. A man in a gray suit stood up. Admiral, you can't be serious. The Vindari would crush us. Admiral Lee smiled. It was not a friendly smile. Would they? Or is that just what we've let them believe? He pressed a button. The room darkened. A new image appeared on the screen. It showed hundreds of massive ships hidden among the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Ships no one outside this room knew existed. For 50 years, we have looked weak to the galaxy. We have shown old ships, outdated weapons, but in secret, we built this. He waved at the screen. The most advanced fleet in known space. The room buzzed with whispers. Protocol Thunderbolt. Admiral Lee said, That's the plan we created for this day. The day we stop hiding. You want to attack the Vindari? Someone asked. Start a war. No, said Admiral Lee. I want to save the Navari. If that means fighting the Vindari, so be it. But we will offer them a chance to withdraw first. He turned to Ta. Commander Kim, your brother found this signal. You will lead the first response team aboard the stealth destroyer Fury of Seoul. Your mission is to assess the situation and prepare for the main fleet's arrival. Ta stood straighter. Yes, sir. Dr. Jihan. Admiral Lee called to a woman sitting quietly in the corner. She looked up from her tablet. You're our best xenobiologist. You'll go with Commander Kim. We need to know how to help the Navari survivors. Jay nodded. I'll prepare my team. The meeting continued as they planned the mission. Ships would need to be ready in hours, not days. Soldiers would need to be briefed. Weapons would need to be checked. As people rushed to complete their tasks, Admiral Lee pulled Tai aside. Commander, this mission changes everything. After today, the galaxy will know humanity's true strength. If we succeed, we save the Navari. If we fail, he didn't finish the sentence. We won't fail, sir, Ta said firmly. Admiral Lee looked at him for a long moment. Your confidence reminds me of your father. He would be proud. Tai thought of his father, who had died defending a human colony years ago. Thank you, sir. 6 hours later, Tai stood on the bridge of the Fury of Seoul. The ship was black as space itself, built to be invisible to sensors. Around him, 50 other ships prepared to jump into hyperspace. Earth was finally showing its teeth to the stars. The Fury of Seoul and its fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Navari system. All ships remained cloaked, invisible to enemy sensors. Commander Ta Kim stood on the bridge, looking at the large view screen. What he saw made his stomach turn. 3 Navari planets burned. Vindari ships moved between them like hungry sharks. Status report, Tai ordered. All ships present and accounted for, sir, said his second-in-command. Cloaking systems working perfectly. The Vindari don't know we're here. Ta nodded. Dr. Han, what can you tell us about the Navari? Dr. Jihan studied her screen. Her fingers moved quickly over the data. From what I can see, They are an insect-like species, 6 limbs. They breathe oxygen like us. Their cities show advanced math and art in their design. How many are left? Tai asked quietly. Ji's face grew sad. Hard to say. The Vindari have destroyed most major cities, but I'm picking up life signs underground. They must have shelters. At least some survived, Ta said. He turned to another officer. Min, what about the Vindari? What are we facing? Min Kang, the ship's AI specialist, pulled up new images. I count 27 Vindari warships. Their energy readings suggest they're using standard plasma weapons. Nothing special. He smiled a little. Nothing our shields can't handle. Don't get overconfident, Ta warned. We need more information before the main fleet arrives. He ordered small drone-like ships to fly closer to the planets. These drones were smaller than a human hand and completely silent. They sent back video and data. The bridge crew watched in horror as the images came in. Vindari soldiers in black armor marched through burning Navari cities. They shot anything that moved. They planted bombs in buildings that still stood. They seemed to enjoy the destruction. They're not just killing the Navari, Ji said softly. They're erasing them. Their art, their buildings, their history. Everything. Min studied another screen. Sir, I've broken into their communication system. I can hear what they're saying. Put it on speaker, Tai ordered. A harsh voice filled the bridge. Sector 7 is clear. Moving to Sector 8. Remember, leave nothing alive. The Supreme Commander wants this finished in 3 days. 3 days, Tai repeated. He looked at his crew. That's all the time the surviving Navari have. Jay pointed to her screen. Commander, I found something. The Navari are sending signals to each other. I think I can translate them. After a few minutes, she looked up with excitement. The Navari have a resistance. They're coordinating from underground bunkers. They're trying to save as many of their people as possible. How many bunkers? Tai asked. At least 50 spread across the planets. But they have a problem. Their air systems are failing. They have maybe 3 days of oxygen left. Tai's face hardened. So we have 3 days to save them, whether from the Vindari or from suffocation. He turned to his communications officer. Send a message to Admiral Lee. Tell him we need the main fleet here in 24 hours, not 48. The situation is worse than we thought. As the message was sent, Ta looked again at the burning planets. He had seen war before. He had fought pirates and raiders. But this was different. This was not war. This was extinction. Min, keep monitoring their communications. I want to know their patrol schedules, their weak points, everything. Yes, sir. G, keep working on the Navari signals. See if you can contact them directly. Jay nodded and returned to her work. Ta Kim knew the next 24 hours would decide everything. Either humanity would make its stand against evil, or another species would vanish from the galaxy forever. This is too dangerous, Commander Ta Kim said, shaking his head. We can't risk it. Dr. Jihan stood firm. Commander, we need to make contact with the Navari. We can't just start a battle without telling them help has arrived. They were in the meeting room of the Fury of Seoul. A map of the largest Navari underground shelter glowed on the table between them. The Vindari have patrols everywhere, Tai argued. If they catch you, the entire mission fails. Then we'll be very careful, Jai replied. Min has mapped the patrol patterns. We can get in between them. After more debate, Ta finally agreed. Fine, but I'm sending Lieutenant Yuna O with you. She's our best scout. An hour later, Ji and Yuma sat in a small landing craft. It was barely bigger than a car and painted black to match the night. The craft slipped silently through the Navari atmosphere. There, Yuna pointed. That mountain has an entrance to the bunker. Min's scans show no Vindari within 5 miles. They landed in a small forest near the mountain. The trees had blue leaves that made soft music when the wind blew through them. Beautiful, Jai whispered. Stay focused, Yuna reminded her. We have a job to do. They walked quickly to the mountain. Yuna found the hidden door just where Min's scans had shown it would be. It was locked. Now what? Yuna asked. Jay pulled out a small device. This is a universal code breaker. Let's hope it works on Navari technology. It took 10 minutes, but finally the door slid open. They stepped into darkness. Hello, Jig called softly. We come as friends. Suddenly, lights flashed on. They were surrounded by tall insect-like creatures. The Navari had 4 arms and 2 legs. Their bodies were covered in blue-green shells that looked like armor. Their eyes were large and black, filled with stars. The Navari pointed spears at them. One stepped forward, clicking its mandibles. G slowly raised her translator. We are humans. We received your distress call. We came to help. The translator converted her words into musical clicks. The Navari froze in surprise. The leader stepped closer. It studied them for a long moment. Then it spoke. The translator said, You are not Vindari, but you are predators too. We see your teeth. Why would you help prey like us? Not all predators are cruel, Jai explained. Humans believe in protecting life, not destroying it. The Navari leader's antennae twitched. I am called. The translator paused, then simplified the name. Songweaver. I am Jai. This is Yuna. Our fleet is in orbit. We came to stop the Vindari and save your people. Songweaver's eyes narrowed. Many ships have we seen. Many weapons. The Vindari are too strong. Our ships are hidden, Yuna said. The Vindari don't know we're here yet, but our main fleet is coming soon. Very powerful ships. Songweaver clicked sadly. Too late, I fear. We have thousands here in this shelter, many more in others across our worlds. But air grows thin, 3 days at most before we suffocate. Why did the Vindari attack you? G asked. Songweaver led them deeper into the shelter. They passed rooms filled with Navari families, huddled together in fear. Children with bright blue shells hid behind their parents. We discovered new energy. Clean. Powerful. We hope to share with Galaxy. Songweaver's voice turned bitter. Vindari sell dirty energy to many worlds. Our discovery would ruin their trade. So they ruin us instead. G felt anger rise in her chest. We won't let that happen. She pulled out a communication device. This will connect you to our fleet. When our attack begins, we'll tell you where to go for rescue. Songweaver took the device with careful hands. You risk much to help strangers. That's what humans do, Yuna said simply. As they prepared to leave, a small Navari child approached Jai. It handed her a tiny crystal that glowed with blue light. What is this? G asked. Songweaver explained. Our new energy. The child says it is a gift. For hope. Jai carefully pocketed the crystal. This was what the Vindari were killing for. This beautiful technology that could have helped everyone. We will return, Jai promised, and we will not come alone. Commander Ta Kim stood straight as the door to the bridge slid open. Admiral Sun Li walked in, his uniform perfect, his face stern. Every person on the bridge stood at attention. At ease, Admiral Li said. He walked to the main view screen showing the Navari planets and the Vindari ships. Report, Commander. Tai quickly told the Admiral everything they had learned. He explained about the Navari in their underground shelters, running out of air. He told him about the new energy source the Vindari wanted to destroy. Dr. Han made contact with the Navari. Admiral Li asked. Yes, sir. They are scared, but ready to work with us. The Admiral nodded. Good. The main fleet has arrived. Ta looked surprised. Sir, I thought they were still 12 hours away. Admiral Li smiled slightly. I pushed them hard. They've been dropping out of hyperspace for the last hour, taking positions behind the moons of the outer planets. He pressed a button on the control panel. The view screen changed to show space behind the system's moons. Ship after ship appeared. Huge battle cruisers, swift destroyers, thousands of fighter craft, all painted black with the Earth symbol on their sides. 50 capital ships, Admiral Lee said. 200 destroyers like your Fury of Soul. And 5,000 fighters, more than anyone in the galaxy knows we have. The bridge crew stared in amazement. They had heard about Earth's hidden fleet, but seeing it was different. "It's time to plan our attack," the Admiral said. "Commander Kim, you know this situation best. What do you suggest?" Toddy felt all eyes on him. He took a deep breath and stepped up to the tactical display. "We need 3 groups," Ta said. "The first group will engage the Vindari fleet here, away from the planets." He pointed to a spot on the display. "The second group will protect the Nevari shelters from any Vindari ground forces." "And the third?" Admiral Lee asked. "The third will secure escape routes. We need to get the Nevari to our transport ships quickly." Admiral Lee studied the plan. "Simple. Direct. I like it." He looked at Ta. "What about weapons authorization?" "Sir, the Vindari don't know what we can do. Should we show them everything at once, or hold some surprises back?" Ta thought for a moment. "I think we should show them enough to win, but not everything. We may need secrets for later." "Wise," the Admiral nodded. "You have authorization to use quantum disruptors and gravity fields, but keep the Star Maker bombs in reserve." The Admiral turned to address the entire bridge. "This operation will be called Saving Hand, because that's what we're doing. Extending our hand to save those who cannot save themselves." He looked at each person. "This is not just about the Nevari. This is about what kind of galaxy we want to live in. One where the strong can kill the weak without consequences, or one where every species has the right to exist." The crew stood taller at his words. "Commander Kim will lead the main assault force," Admiral Lee continued. "Captain Ba will command the shelter protection force. I will personally lead the rescue operation." Todd was surprised. "Sir, is that wise? You're the highest-ranking officer in the fleet." Admiral Lee's eyes showed determination. "Some missions require leadership from the front, Commander." The Admiral checked his watch. "We have 8 hours before we move. Prepare your ships. Brief your crews. When we reveal ourselves to the Vindari, I want a perfect showing of human power and discipline." As the meeting ended, Admiral Lee pulled Tai aside. "Your brother Jay took a great risk sending us that signal," he said quietly. "When this is over, he will be honored, not punished." Ta felt relief wash over him. "Thank you, sir." "Now," the Admiral said, "let's go show the galaxy that humans are not to be taken lightly." The time had come. Commander Ta Kim sat in the captain's chair of the Fury of Soul. All around him, the crew worked at their stations. Their faces were serious but calm. "All ships report ready, sir," said his second-in-command. Ta nodded. "Put me through to the entire fleet." When the communication channel opened, he spoke clearly. "This is Commander Kim. In 5 minutes, we will show ourselves to the Vindari. Remember your training. Remember why we fight. The Nevari are counting on us." He closed the channel and turned to his weapons officer. "Arm all systems." Across space, 250 Earth ships prepared for battle. Shields powered up. Weapons charged. Fighters moved into launch position. "Sir," said the communications officer, "Admiral Lee is hailing the Vindari." "Put it on screen," Tide ordered. Admiral Lee's voice boomed across all channels, in all known languages. "Attention Vindari forces. This is Admiral Sun Lee of the Earth Defense Fleet. You are committing genocide against the Nevari people. Cease your attack immediately and withdraw from this system or face extinction." For a long moment, there was silence. Then a harsh voice answered. On the screen appeared a tall, gray-skinned alien with red eyes. He wore an ornate black uniform covered in medals. This is Supreme Commander Drax of the Vindari Dominion. Humans have no authority here. This is Vindari business. Leave now or be destroyed. Admiral Lee's voice was cold. We gave you a chance, Commander Drax. You refused it. At that moment, all Earth ships dropped their cloaking shields at once. The Vindari sensors suddenly showed hundreds of warships where empty space had been before. On Drax's bridge, alarms blared. His officers shouted in confusion. Supreme Commander, human ships everywhere. Hundreds of them. Drax laughed. Humans are weak. Their ships are outdated. Destroy them all. The Vindari fleet turned toward the Earth ships, charging their weapons. Ta gave the order. All ships, execute attack pattern Alpha. Fire quantum disruptors on my mark. The Earth fleet moved with perfect coordination, splitting into the three groups they had planned. Fire, Ta commanded. Beams of blue-white light shot from the Earth ships. They passed through the Vindari shields as if they weren't there. 30 Vindari ships lost power immediately, drifting in space. Drax's face showed shock. What is this? How did they get through our shields? On the Fury of Sul, the crew cheered. Quantum disruptors working perfectly, sir, reported the weapons officer. Vindari shields cannot stop them. Press the attack, Tate ordered. All fighters launch now. Thousands of small, fast ships poured from the Earth fleet. They swarmed around the larger Vindari ships, firing precisely at engines and weapon systems. Meanwhile, Admiral Lee led the second group toward the Nevari planets. Deploy ground teams to secure the bunker entrances, he ordered. Get those people to the transport ships. On the Nevari homeworld, Songweaver watched in amazement as Earth soldiers in black armor appeared at the bunker door. Come quickly, said the Earth soldier. We have ships waiting. Your people will be safe. Songweaver used the communication device Jai had given him. Is this really happening? Are we truly being saved? Ji's voice came through clearly. Yes, Songweaver. The battle has begun. Our soldiers will protect you while you evacuate. Back in space, Supreme Commander Drax was furious. Call for reinforcements. All available ships from the home system. Now. His communications officer obeyed, sending the emergency signal. Ta saw this on his tactical display. Sir, the Vindari are calling for help. Lieutenant Ja Kim, who had joined the fleet after being picked up from the research station, looked up from his communications panel. Signal detected, Commander. Many ships are responding. They'll be here in 20 minutes. Tay's face grew serious. So be it. Let's do as much damage as we can before they arrive. The battle for the Nevari people had begun, but the true test was still to come. Vindari reinforcements have arrived, shouted the sensor officer. Commander Ta Kim looked at the screen. Dozens of new Vindari warships were appearing out of hyperspace. They were bigger than the first group. Heavier weapons, stronger shields. How many? Tai asked. 53 capital ships. Nearly 100 smaller vessels. The bridge grew quiet. The Earth fleet was still winning against the first group of Vindari ships, but now they were outnumbered. All ships, form defensive positions, Tai ordered. Protect the transports carrying the Nevari. The new Vindari ships joined the battle. They fired their main weapons at the Earth fleet. The quantum disruptors still worked, but the Earth ships were spread too thin now. Sir, we're taking heavy fire on our port side, reported the shield operator. Suddenly, the Fury of Sul shook violently. Lights flickered. Crew members fell from their seats. Direct hit to Deck 3. Someone yelled. Shields at 40%. Ta grabbed the armrests of his chair as another blast hit the ship. Pain shot through his left side. He looked down and saw blood seeping through his uniform. A piece of metal had cut deeply into his side. His second-in-command rushed to him. Sir, you need medical attention. No time, Ta said through gritted teeth. The battle. Sir, Admiral Lee is hailing us. The Admiral's face appeared on screen. He looked concerned. Commander Kim, your ship is taking heavy damage. Fall back and regroup. With respect, sir, we can't retreat. The Vindari will break through to the transports. Before the Admiral could answer, Min Kang called out from his station. Commander, I found something. Despite his pain, Tai turned to Min. What is it? The Vindari shields. They change their pattern every 73 seconds. There's a 2-second window when they're weaker. Tai's eyes lit up. Can we time our weapons to hit during that window? Min nodded excitedly. Yes, I can send the timing pattern to all our ships. Do it, Tai ordered. He turned back to the Admiral. Sir, we have a plan. Admiral Lee nodded. Execute it, Commander. Meanwhile, I'm taking the Peacekeeper into the heart of their formation. Sir, that's too dangerous. But Admiral Lee had already ended the transmission. On the tactical display, Ta watched as the massive flagship Peacekeeper moved directly toward the center of the Vindari fleet. What is he doing? Someone whispered. Meanwhile, Min sent the shield timing data to all Earth ships. Their weapons began firing in perfect sync with the Vindari shield weaknesses. More enemy ships lost power and drifted away. But the Fury of Seoul was still taking heavy fire. Another blast rocked the ship. Shields at 20%. Called the shield operator. We can't take much more. Through the pain of his wound, Ta watched as Admiral Lee's flagship reached the center of the Vindari formation. Suddenly, a bright light appeared on the screen. What is that? Tai asked. Min looked up from his console in awe. It's the sunburst weapon. I thought it was just a rumor. A miniature star formed in the middle of the Vindari fleet. It wasn't big enough to destroy their ships, but its energy disrupted all their systems. Vindari ships floated helplessly, their weapons and engines dead. The Admiral did it, Ta said softly. He disabled their main forts without killing them. The remaining Earth ships quickly surrounded the powerless Vindari vessels. Sir, said the communications officer, Supreme Commander Drax is hailing us. He's surrendering. The bridge crew cheered. Todd tried to stand but stumbled as pain shot through his body. Get the commander to medical, now, ordered his second-in-command. As 2 crew members helped Todd toward the door, he looked back at the screen. The battle was won. The Navari would live. Through the pain, he smiled. Tell my brother Jay. Tell him he did the right thing. Then darkness took him. Commander Todd Kim opened his eyes slowly. White ceiling, soft beeping sounds, the smell of clean air. He was in the medical bay of a large ship. Welcome back, Commander. Tai turned his head. Admiral Sunli sat beside his bed. The battle? Tai asked, his voice rough. Won, said the Admiral. The Vindari surrendered after the sunburst weapon disabled their fleet. Supreme Commander Drax is in custody. Tai tried to sit up, wincing at the pain in his side. Careful, warned the Admiral. That piece of metal nearly reached your heart. The doctors worked for 6 hours to save you. The Navari? Admiral Lee smiled. Safe. We evacuated over 2 million of them before their air ran out. Dr. Jaihan is helping them settle on one of our protected worlds. Tai relaxed against his pillow. Then it was worth it. More than you know, the Admiral said. He stood up. There's someone who wants to see you. I'll send him in. A few minutes later, the door opened. Jai Kim, Ta's younger brother, rushed to his side. You idiot, Jay said, tears in his eyes. You nearly got yourself killed. Ta smiled weakly. Someone had to clean up the mess you started. The brothers laughed, then grew serious. The Admiral told me you'll get a medal, not punishment, for sending that signal, Ta said. Jay nodded. He said some rules are meant to be broken when lives are at stake. A guard appeared at the door. Admiral Lee requests your presence in the meeting room, Commander Jay. 6 months had passed since the battle that saved the Navari. On a beautiful green planet in human space, Songweaver stood on a hill watching his people build their new home. The planet had blue skies like their old world, plenty of water. good soil for their farms. The Naveri had named it Kimhan to honor the humans who had saved them. Songweaver's antennae twitched as he heard someone climbing the hill behind him. He turned to see Dr. Jihan walking toward him. "Your people are making good progress," Ji said, looking at the new city taking shape below. "Thanks to human help," Songweaver replied. His translator now made his clicks and whistles sound almost musical. "We would all be dead without you." Ji smiled. "It's what anyone should have done." "No," Songweaver said firmly. "Many species would have ignored our call, or come too late, or demanded payment. Humans came because it was right." They stood in comfortable silence, watching Naveri and human workers building together. "How is Commander Kim?" Songweaver asked. "Much better," Ji said. "His wounds have healed. He has a new ship now, even bigger than before." "And his brother?" "The one who first heard our call." "Jae Kim is now Commander Jae Kim," Ji said with a smile. "He runs the new early warning system. It listens for distress calls from all over the galaxy." Songweaver's eyes brightened. "So other species in trouble will be helped too." "Yes, Earth has established the Protective Fleet Initiative. Any peaceful species under attack can call for aid. Human ships will come." From his pocket, Songweaver took a small blue crystal. It glowed with inner light. "Our new energy source. We have begun teaching humans how to make it. It will change everything," Ji said. "Clean energy for all worlds." The Vindari didn't want change, Songweaver noted. Ji nodded. They were afraid, but even they are changing now. It was true. After their defeat, the Vindari had chosen new leaders. They had signed a peace treaty with Earth. They had even begun paying the Naveri for what they had destroyed. "Will you stay and help us build our science center?" Songweaver asked Ji. "Of course," she replied. "I'm heading the cultural exchange program. Humans have much to learn from Naveri mathematics, and Naveri medicine is quite advanced." They walked down the hill together, toward the growing city. Meanwhile, far away on Earth's orbital headquarters, Admiral Sunli stood at a large window. He watched ships from 20 different species arriving for the first Galactic Peace Summit. Commander Ta Kim stood beside him. The thin scar ran down the side of his face, a reminder of the battle. "Did you ever think you'd see this, sir?" Tai asked. "Representatives from all these worlds coming to Earth." "No," the Admiral admitted. "For too long, we stayed hidden, watching the galaxy but not engaging with it." "We were afraid," Ta said. "Yes, but fear can make you miss opportunities." The Admiral pointed to a beautiful crystalline ship approaching the station. "Look, the Naveri delegation has arrived." Ta smiled. "Songweaver said they've improved their energy crystals. They can now power an entire city with something the size of my hand." "Impressive," said the Admiral. "And to think the Vindari wanted to destroy such potential." They watched more ships arrive, large and small, old and new, each carrying diplomats eager to meet with the humans who had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. "You know what the strangest part is?" Admiral Lee said quietly. "What's that, sir?" "Our weapons won the battle. But it wasn't our weapons that made other species respect us." The Admiral turned to face Ta. "It was our willingness to risk everything to save strangers, to stand against injustice even when it wasn't our fight." Ta nodded. "My brother says the same thing. That the signal didn't just bring our fleet, it brought out humanity's true strength." As they watched the ships dock, both men knew the galaxy would never be the same again. A new era had begun. An era where the strong protected the weak, where technology served life rather than destroyed it. And it had all started with a single distress call, answered by those who cared.